Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the channel for everything Arsenal and everything football. Thanks for being here. I hope you're doing well. And welcome back to the 49 Invincibles podcast. This time round, we'll be doing an opposition preview. Back with the gents again. Last time out, I have to say, that was one of the best opposition previews I ever did. And I have them back again. I'll start with you. Lou, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Glenn. Cheers for having me back.
No problem. And Arron, how are you?
Yeah, good. Cheers, Glenn. And again, thanks for having us back on. It's good to be on here with you.
Yeah, awesome. Not that I would want you guys on anytime again because I don't like playing Leeds that many times. So no problem. So before I bring the Arsenal guys in, Callum, I can see in the background, I'll bring in in 4 or 5 minutes. So Lou, what have you made of your season since you played us? The 14, 15 games since then?
Yeah, well, we've exceeded probably our own expectations, really, and we're sort of at that near enough mathematical safe point, which I don't think we thought we'd be there this early, but we are. So we're sort of looking up rather than behind us. The bottom three have been pretty poor, so we haven't really had to worry about them too much. In terms of recent matches, I'd say we're on an upward curve at the moment. The last time we played you, we'd just had we come off the back of 2 4-1 losses, but I still wasn't very confident on beating Arsenal. You boys also weren't in the best of form, if I remember rightly. So I don't know. I feel like Arsenal are possibly there for the taking this time round, and if you keep 11 men on the pitch this time, then you guys may have a chance. But I certainly don't think it will be 0-0. But again, we did say this last time, and we battered your goal with 25 shots and couldn't break down your defence. So we'll see what happens.
I think that has only happened 3 times in the last 1.5 years, a team having more than 25 shots without scoring. That was City against Southampton last season and also Villa against Burnley this season, as well as you guys against us. So it's rare that people have 25 shots without scoring. How about you, Arron?
Yeah, I'm the realist one on our list 11. I always keep banging on about getting to 40 points as the goal, and we're 8 points away from that. I think we've had a remarkable season so far, a really topsy-turvy season in terms of results, but it's one of those seasons, where anybody can literally beat anybody. But yeah, I'm delighted with how things are going. We had a discussion on our show last night about potentially qualifying for Europe. I'm a big no for me. It's not where we want to be. But yeah, I think we're doing all right. We're having a really good season. We play attractive football. We've got some quality players, and we are literally on the way up, which is fantastic. And I think we're above you guys as well at the moment in the league, and we start to look at the league table now, and it's nice to be above Arsenal into the top 10.
Thank you for kindly reminding us of that. I feel like I'm going to be outnumbered here, so I might do it as soon as possible. Callum, how are you?
I'm good. Obviously, I'm not happy about Arsenal anyway. I'm actually quite angry about it too much. But it's nice to have Leeds fans on here. So hi guys, and good to be
Hello, mate.
For me though, sorry, Glenn. I've always liked Arsenal. I still keep an eye on the Premier. What is the issue with Arsenal at the moment? Is it just not performing? Is it the players? Is it the manager? What is the real issue?
I think it's the collective of the board, the players, the fans, or a lot of the fans that just agree with mediocre play. Do you know what I mean? We haven't performed in years. FA Cup papers over cracks, and I've had enough. We're Arsenal Football Club, and we're 11th in the table. We've had 9 wins and 10 losses, and we've got 15 games left with Man City coming around the corner. With Leeds as well, you'll probably beat. I'm not confident in that game. Do you know what I mean? Especially how we haven't got Partey, and he gets rushed back. It's just bad management. The board is not good enough. Do you know what I mean? The manager's not good enough, on Arteta, and the players are just flip flops. Mentality-wise, so I think it's everything, and I think we just need to get rid of it slowly but surely.
Do you think Emery was doing a better job than Arteta?
Yeah, I think so. Do you know what I mean? Everyone hated Emery for something. I liked him because we went on a 22 undefeated run. Do you know what I mean? Without losing a game, and that's quite hard to do in the Premier League, especially when it was. I mean, that time it was harder. This season, anyone could beat anyone. In that season, I mean, it was a bit harder. So I'll give him that. And we had worse players. All the players that we got now are Arteta players, and we're doing worse. So
do Arsenal fans share your view? I mean, it depends what Arsenal fan channels you watch, really, to sort of to get an insight into what's going wrong. But to be honest, I think sometimes, and I wouldn't. Leeds have not really had the opportunity to be guilty of this, but are Arsenal guilty of delusion in where you're at? I mean, some of the fans' expectations of what you should be getting are not what you're capable of getting at the moment.
I don't know. It depends. Some fans want different things. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So we all want what's best for the club. It's just we're so divided in what we want. It's just we clash heads, and that's what a lot of Arsenal fans. That's what Arsenal will offend the fan base anyway.
This won't mean anything coming from a Leeds fan, but I do think Arteta is the way forward. I think it's the players that have let him down, to be honest.
I do agree with you.
I'm with Arron. I've always liked Arsenal. I grew up with Arsenal as a powerhouse in the 90s and early noughties, and they just haven't been that for a long time. And what I'm seeing is players like Aubameyang not delivering as often as he should be, as he is technically a world-class player on paper. Granted, you've had a bit of bad luck with players like Willian, who's come from Chelsea and been really good, and come to Arsenal and been horrendous. So it's the players, I think, that are letting Arsenal down massively.
I absolutely agree with you. And for your earlier question about Emery and Arteta, definitely not. Absolutely not. For under Emery, what Callum said is the only positive I can point out, that fact that we went 22 games unbeaten. Other than that, there's no other positive I can point out. Yes, he did bring up the likes of Saka, but there's a time he used to concede like 30 shots. Callum would remember, he used to concede like 30 shots to teams like Watford, Bournemouth. At home, Brighton used to come to our place, have 35 shots. We wouldn't score as many goals. At least these days, I can say, yes, we're not scoring that many goals, but defensively, we're looking good. Even when you're down to 9 men, 8 men, like we were to 10 men against you guys back at Elland Road, we still have a chance of winning the game. Even we are so close to getting a point against Wolves with 9 men. That mentality. Back in the day with Wenger, the moment he used to get a red card, Bayern 5 goals, Chelsea 6 goals, United 8 goals against us. That was 1 yellow card. So these days, I can see the mentality. The fight is there, even if you go down to 10 men. I can see them fighting. So for me, I see more positives than negatives. Just as Lou said, I would stick with Arteta. But yeah, I'd say right now it's 50-50, just like under the Wenger days.
Would you agree that your 2 best players are Saka and Smith Rowe at the moment?
Oh yeah, by 100%. Far. Just because maybe Tierney is injured, so if you have a top 3, probably them 3. But right now it's Saka and Smith Rowe because they literally saved us.
Which is wrong, really. This as in that shouldn't be the case, should it? That exactly. That in itself is the problem.
Yeah, it is. It's a big problem. We shouldn't be depending on youngsters.
You boys will know that. You might not know that Emil Smith Rowe has we've got a bit of a soft spot for him. As he scored a goal for Huddersfield against West Brom that basically meant we were promoted.
Yeah.
And so also one of your best players this season, you had out on loan in the Championship last season, which is crazy. Yeah. He's a good player, though. I like him.
He's a very good player. And as recently as 2 months ago, I think it was December, he was playing in the under-23s. So the rise has been very, very quick. So yes, people say that Arteta stumbled on him because the likes of Willian were not there, or we got a couple of injuries. But I believe he still have brought him in anyway. But hey, Carl, I wanted to ask you about Leeds. What have you made of their season so far? They have a very crazy record. So just tell me about them before I tell you about
I honestly think they've had an amazing season. Do you know what I mean? It's weird because they can batter teams and batter anyone, and then they can get battered. Do you know what I mean? 1 week they're beating Man United or whoever, beating whoever 5-0. And then they'll lose 5-0 the week after. Do you know what I mean? So, and they obviously, I knew they were going to stay up. And there was one point when I was at the beginning of the season, my dad, I was talking to my dad, he thought they were going to get in top 4. That's how good they're playing. So, do you know what I mean? I think, honestly, amazing season. First season up, do you know what I mean, for in a while. So, I'll give you kudos for that, man.
So, this season, Arron, Lou, you've played 22 games. You've won 10, you've lost 10, you've drawn 2, you don't do draws, you definitely don't do draws. The fact that you've scored 38 goals and conceded 38 is so funny. 38 goals scored, that is the third best in the league after the Manchester clubs. And the 38 conceded is the third worst at the same time alongside Crystal Palace and West Brom. So that's a very funny record. And at home and away, everything is similar. Like at home, they've, I think, scored 16, conceded 16. I think away they've scored 24 something and conceded, like the home record and the away record in terms of goals, everything is similar. So, Lou, I remember when I had you guys last time out, you said you really enjoy the football and the goals and considered. You still have the same thought right now? You're happy with how you're playing?
Yeah, I mean, we are technically the epitome of a mid-table team in every respect that we are 10th as well. It's entertaining, but like I said, we've exceeded expectations. The 6-2 loss to Scum wasn't ideal, but our 2 draws, for instance, we should have beaten Arsenal. Our other draw was a 1-1 draw against City, where arguably we should have won that game as well. So we don't do draws mostly, but we have also beaten other teams that are battling for top 4 this season. We've beaten Everton, we've beaten Leicester, in which they've beaten us once, and Everton have also beaten us as well. I feel really content, to be honest. Yeah, we're scoring lots of goals. We're entertaining. We do have a bit of frailty in our defence, but the whole set piece fragility that your man's commenting on here in the comments, that's been there. Arron, you agree that frailty has sort of been there in the Championship as well. Really, we've always had issues at set piece.
Yeah. Again, you've got to remember we've got two central defenders, and Lou, you'll agree with me. We've got Pascal Struijk, who's a Dutch under 23, 50p head, young defender, probably arguably his 5th choice, probably at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And then we've got as captain Liam Cooper, who again is but I'm a big fan of Cooper at the moment. I think he's improved, but we have got 2 main international defenders out, Robin Koch and Diego Llorente. They're out for us. They've been out for most of the season. So again, it doesn't really surprise me. Llorente was brought in to kind of really, solidify us at the back in terms of set pieces because he's quite tall, help out at the back defensively. But I think we've been hit with injuries, similar to you guys as well. Injuries doesn't help the situation, and neither does COVID. But yeah, it's to be expected. But it's the Bielsa way. We will, when we're playing this high press football, we will be vulnerable at the back, especially on the counter when you're playing against the likes of Crystal Palace, where we lost 4-1 early on in the season, and that was just typical counter-attacking football. Same with Leicester as well when they beat us 4-1 at Ellen Road. It was just typical. Hoof the ball forward.
They're weird though, because although we lose those games 4-1, they're different 4-1s. As in, you don't just look at the result and take it as gospel. They're results that could have been 2-2. They could have been 3-2 to us. The 4-1 loss against Palace were 2 freak goals. We had a freak goal ruled out for offside that shouldn't have been. So we did take batterings as such, but with how temperamental VAR is, for example, that they are results that can go either way for lots of teams.
Yeah. My next question was going to be, Lou, obviously you've mentioned all those results, losing 4-1 to Crystal Palace away. You managed to beat Leicester away from home. They beat you at your place. So what has been your best result so far this season, personally?
That's a hard one.
Yeah. The most pleasing was Leicester. That after that game, it felt like a really big result. Not just their league position. They did have Vardy missing, but they also had a lot of players in form who were very quiet that day. Yuri Tielemans was very quiet. James Maddison kept very quiet. He wasted just about every set piece he was over in that game, and we beat him very convincingly. I was really, really pleased with that result. And it was comfortable. Patrick Bamford finished an absolute corking move. And then we've sort of, I know we did lose to Everton, but we had such a good second half against them where it was just 2 teams toe for toe battering each other. And it was a really good game, and it didn't really feel too too bad after the loss. And we took that momentum into beating Palace. And Palace was probably our most comfortable result of the season. But we're sort of on an upward trajectory with where the team is at, which for me is really pleasing because, like Arron said, we've got two international centre-backs out, and we've made do with, like Arron said, what was at the start of the season our fifth choice player. But obviously, at the start of the season, for instance, we didn't have Rafinha playing. He wasn't getting in above Costa, and then when he did, he's set the Premier League alight. To be honest, he's I don't know how much you boys have seen of him. I've noticed he's not even in a lot of people's fantasy teams yet, but I think he will be sooner or later. He's absolutely incredible.
Yeah. Arron, yes, Everton beat you at Elland Road, but I'm sure you beat them at Goodison Park, if I'm not wrong. So is that game one of your best results this season?
Yeah, it was okay. I think probably the best result for me was probably Villa away. We were beating 3-0. Patrick Bamford scored a hat-trick. We just looked really comfortable. I'd actually agree with Lou. I think a pleasing result for me, and problems that was where we were quite comfortable was probably Palace on Monday, where we were not in any. There was no threat from Palace. We just controlled the game from start to finish. So I'd actually argue that the Palace game was probably a really pleasing performance, because we said this on our show last night that it was a comfortable performance, and we weren't worried throughout any parts of it. Yeah. But there's no doubt this for us on Sunday is a huge game for us. It's a huge game because I don't know if you boys know, but we've got a London hoodoo. We don't travel well to London. I think it's one of our last games which we play in the Premier League this season. So for us to go down there and get a result at the Emirates, which I think we will, because I'm quite optimistic, just to break that curse which we've got, because we haven't won in London. Is it 3 years, Lou, or something like that?
We've not won since, I think it's November 2017, and that was at QPR.
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible record.
Yeah, so if you boys are looking for some sort of optimism, then that's your stat right there. We've not won in London for years.
So if the likes of Brentford and Charlton come back to the Premier League, then you're doomed. You'll never get an away win. That's what you're saying. So
yeah.
Well, the last one was I'll start with the Arron. What about the worst result? What has been your worst result this season?
Oh, the worst result. Disappointing would probably be the Manchester United game where we lost 6-2, but I'd also probably say that the Chelsea game when we were down at Stamford Bridge, we just didn't compete at all down there. We were actually outrun for the first time, I think, in as many games as Bielsa's been in charge. We were just outfought. We just didn't turn up for that. But I'd say two, probably the Manchester United game where we lost 6-2, and probably the Chelsea game.
Okay, Lou?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, I remember feeling quite disappointed after West Ham, but both in West Ham and Chelsea games, we both went 1-0 up in both those games and lost. But we were sort of humbled a little bit. We were still fairly, obviously we still are, new to the Premier League, and there was two very solid Premier League teams that schooled us a little bit in the end. And Declan Rice started pulling the strings. He sort of won that battle really, and it was a difficult game, but our biggest rivals are scum. So losing 6-2 to them in a game that could have easily been 6-6 was the most disappointing by far.
Yeah, you're really entertaining. I have to say that your team is very, very entertaining. Callum, since you're neutral, I'll give you this question from Foshizi. He's a West Ham fan. Who is better, Calvin Phillips or Declan Rice? Basically, who would you take in the England squad if you are the manager?
It has to be Ricey, I think Rice is probably one of the best, one of the best midfielders in what he does, box to box. He's one of the best. I think he's so good.
We spoke about them last night, actually, didn't we, Arron? We said the same. I mean, we can overhype these players. Calvin Phillips will be in that squad regardless, but Declan Rice is still ahead of him. He's not streets ahead of him, not by any stretch, but Declan Rice is an accomplished player. And I think he fits better into the sort of football Southgate will play as well.
Yeah, the man is here. Hi, Zoom.
Hey, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Had a long day, but I can. I'm glad I'm here, man. And I just have to mention, I'd take Calvin Phillips over Declan Rice. I've watched him a number of times. So yeah, I would. I think Declan Rice. I mean, bless him. He's a fantastic bowler, but I think Calvin Phillips is a lot more dynamic. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very versatile, this Calvin Phillips. Yeah, he can slip into centre back, defensive. He's quite good, So it gives Southgate more options. So I'd probably take at the moment. For me, I'd probably take Phillips at the moment to the Euros.
Lou, would you have Phillips in the England setup as the sole defensive midfielder? Can he do the job?
What you mean if Rice is injured, or if he?
Yeah, if you only have Phillips and no Henderson, no Dyer, such kind of players, can he do the job by himself in the middle?
Yeah, definitely. That like I say, that if the debate is Declan Rice or Calvin Phillips, as much as Calvin is absolutely brilliant, Declan Rice slightly edges it for me at the moment. Calvin Phillips is very young and he has a lot of. But what Gareth Southgate said about him, and clearly what he's done and the way he's progressed under Bielsa, is that he's a lot more coachable than some players in that position might be. He's still very new to this position as well. He's just developed so quickly that he is now just a quality player. But he can play across the back four as well. He fills in at centre back when teams play two strikers. That's just the formation. That's just how we set up. But he's also great going forward. So yeah, if circumstances prevailed that way, then Phillips could do the job there for sure.
Awesome. Let's get into the game back in November. I remember when you did the preview with Lou, Arron, and Zuhum back in November. The thing that we said when you did our predictions, we were like, there's no chance of a 0-0 draw. I remember Lou saying, absolutely no chance of a 0-0 draw. In this one, it will be like a 3-2. And actually, that was only the third time that Leeds had drawn 0-0 in more than 100 league games under Bielsa. And I'm pretty sure you've not drawn 0-0 since then as well. So that was a very rare one. So, Lou, what do you remember from that game?
Well, maybe we cursed it. I'm not sure. I don't know. But we were talking. I remember saying, for the gamblers out there, it's 2.5 goals minimum. Like you're going to be. That's what you want to be betting on. But look, I mean, we've drawn, I think, only one game since then, and that was Man City. But you'd think the floodgates would open. What worries me is that, like you said, even when you guys are down to 9-10 men or whatever it is, you aren't bad defensively. I don't think it's necessarily your defensive players are letting you down. I think, for instance, Eddie Nketiah, who we obviously know about, he started the season quite well and he sort of faded out. Aubameyang's been in and out of the team. Your star signing, Thomas Partey's been rushed back on a couple of occasions and clearly not been fit. It's your attacking players that have been letting you down. I think you are going to be a slightly different beast this time, not necessarily defensively, but seeing Smith Rowe playing well. Lacazette's not been in the worst form, to be fair. So how will it go? I don't know. I think it could be one of those games where it could be 3-1 either way. I think a lot will rely on the defences of both sides, in which, if you were to compare, you'd say ours should be slightly more fragile than yours. But it's two mid-table teams. It's 10th v 11th. It's literally a pen and paper job, really, isn't it? It could go either way.
Yeah, Arron, what did you make of that game last time out?
Last time out, it was disappointing that Leeds didn't come away with anything other than a draw. If I'm being brutally honest, I think we should have probably won the game. The way the game, played out. You guys lost a man. So you went down to 10 men. It was very, very difficult. It was very difficult for us to break you down. I think I was a little bit disappointed that we didn't come away with anything. Your man there, Jack Harrison, had a good game that time. He's somebody who we really rate at Leeds. But I think this time round we've got, as Lou said, Rafinha. He's somebody who you are going to have to really close down and really take him out of the game. And Calvin Phillips in particular, you're going to have to really control him and close him down really quickly, make sure that he can't find that space and obviously find that killer pass to get us from defensive to attack really quickly, because he is a key person for us. So, yeah, it was disappointing last time out, but it was a 0-0 draw. It was a good result at the time, I think, for both teams.
Yeah, Callum, going into that game, did you expect us to win it?
What, the last game?
Yeah, the last game.
Not really. I expected a draw, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? At that moment in time, I didn't expect much from these players. You know what I mean? Because once his confidence is shot, they can't do nothing. And especially with Pepe doing the stupidness he did. Do you know what I mean? He just asked him to get sent off. Do you know what I mean? So it's rubbish. So I was expecting a draw, and I was not surprised. I was not surprised.
It was soft, wasn't it? It was a soft.
It was soft, but it was.
But it was a sending off.
Yeah, it was soft, but it's like you don't do that. You know what I mean? Any player would do that. You know, if you go to them and try to touch it, they're gonna fall to the ground like a sack of potatoes. Do you know what I mean? Anyone would do that.
Well, they all do that now, yeah. But the thing that confused me the most was how upset Kieran Tierney was at the end of the game. I don't know why. Like, as in, it's a North Macedonian footballer. If somebody puts their head into his, he's like you say, he's going to go down. But anybody does. Look at Mitrovic against Souček the other day. You know, like, it doesn't take much these days. And if the referees are going to make these decisions, I mean, granted, the Mike Dean one was pretty shocking, and it probably wasn't on the same level as this one. But again, it wasn't mega dangerous. But you know, it's against the rules. It shouldn't happen, and it shouldn't be happening from players like Pepe, who you've paid a lot of money for.
But the thing is, though, as well, you've got to remember there's cameras at every angle now at all Premier League sides. You know, anything will get picked up from them, so they've got to know that with VAR, anything VAR will just literally interfere.
But they're not thinking about the cameras. It's heat of the moment stuff. Alioski's been winding them up for God knows how long. I can't remember when he got sent off. It was about 60 minutes or something, wasn't it?
Yeah. Especially when it's an Arsenal player, isn't it? It's definitely when it's an Arsenal player. The referees look at every single angle from everywhere. They get a helicopter over, they look at that angle. Do you know what I mean? If it's another team, what do? They just check it. They don't even check it.
Mate, I think that's all football fans feel like, because you sound like me when we've lost. You know, like, you feel like the world's against you, and the rest of the angles.
The thing is, I've also had like opposition fans saying, like, how the hell did the Southampton red card get overturned and not the Lewis one? They even you know what? Rubbish. You feel like Arsenal's the referees have an agenda. But Zuhum, if Pepe didn't get a red card that game, did you expect us to win it if with 11 men?
Yes, I did. To be fair, I think we were, if I remember correctly, I think we were having good moments. We were building momentum in the second half. I think they completely overran us in the first half, and up until the sending off, I thought we started the second half quite well. At that time, I don't think we were attacking as we weren't functioning as an attacking unit. But on the day, I don't know, Arteta just had a good team talk, I'd imagine, and we came out fighting compared to Leeds in the first half. So it was really, really gutting, in the same way that maybe even Granit Xhaka's sending off versus Burnley was a bit of a sucker punch as well. It really knocked the wind out of our sails. And even, for example, Gabriel versus Southampton, I think we've been punished. And to be fair to the lads, I think we definitely should have lost that game after the red card. I mean, didn't you guys hit the post like 3-4 times? Something like that?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I remember Saka missed a massive opportunity for you guys towards the end, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Was he a substitute in that game? I don't remember him playing the whole game.
He came on and then got injured and went off after 25 minutes.
Yeah,
that's what happened. Yeah.
So I think if he starts, he's a big asset to you guys. He ran rings around us for the time he was on the pitch.
Helps. So Callum, as the Uma said about hitting the bar and everything, the thing that I remember from that game is that Holding was dominated by Bamford aerially. So I am very, very afraid that is the one who's going to play again. So would you be tempted to bring back Luis? Because Bamford absolutely dominated him in that game. He would have had like 4 headers.
No, I wouldn't bring back Luis to us. He's a walking mistake. Holding, I don't think Holding's any better, but Holding this season's been way better than Luis. You know what I mean? So I'll keep Holding, and he obviously would want to redeem himself. Do you know what I mean? Maybe put Gabriel next to him. Gabriel could help him out a bit, but I would not play Luis. Put him nowhere near this team, man. He's just a walking mistake, that guy.
So, any changes you'd make?
Yeah, I think I would. I think I'd bring back Pablo Mari instead of even Gabriel or David Luiz, and I'd keep Rob Holding.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that was overall at the time we played Leeds in November. It was just a bad time for us. I mean, we just looked
Yeah.
bad all over the pitch. Rob Holding,
Yeah.
in comparison, I mean, in recent times, ever since the turn of the year, when we had that let's say upturn in our form, he's been immense, especially aerially. I think he's been aerially the most dominant defender we've had over the last few weeks. So I'd keep Rob Holding actually, and I'd bring on Pablo Mari, because I think Pablo Mari, compared to David Luiz, he doesn't have anywhere near as many errors, even though he has a
Yeah.
smaller sample size of games. But also, I think he brings this calm in our build-up, and we're going to need that calm versus Leeds, because these guys are high octane all the time. I don't think they stop running when they leave the stadium. Do you guys even use a bus? You know what I mean? It just doesn't feel like it. So yeah, for me, I'd go with Rob Holding. David Luiz doesn't make my squad. I think Rob Holding, Pablo Mari is as good as we can put out. To be fair,
That's the one thing I always remember about Leeds. I think it's only Chelsea that have overrun you in a game. I think at Stamford Bridge. Other than them, like, you always overrun your opponents, and that is very worrying. That's why that's where someone like Ozil, Callum, sorry for reminding you, that's why someone like Ozil wouldn't help us in this game for real. Like, he wouldn't help us. So we need to be top of the game for 90 minutes. So Lou, you mentioned before we began that Liverpool want Bielsa or something. So let's say Bielsa was to leave Leeds at the end of the season. Would you be happy to do what Arsenal did and, let's say, have like an Arteta or something be your manager?
Oh,
So we had a guy under Bielsa called Carlos Corberán, who was basically our under-23s coach, and he was on the sort of coaching side of things under Bielsa as well in the first team. Because obviously, unlike a lot of clubs, our under-23s are very much involved with our first team. They train sort of all as one, and the under-23s that are performing get a shot at the first team, essentially. But he went to Huddersfield. He's now the first team coach at Huddersfield. And I don't know if it's a sort of the fairy tale return, but he was sort of somebody that was being groomed as Marcelo's successor. And then obviously the normal names that get linked with us, Pochettino was one of them before but obviously he's at PSG now. I don't know. I think that after Bielsa period is quite a delicate subject, really, for Leeds fans, in that we don't really know what it's going to be. Would we like someone like Steven Gerrard? I think he's managing a big club, but is Scottish Premier League football the same standard? Would he adapt? There's a lot of questions, but I think we've got at least another year of Bielsa, and depending, I think, on how we do next season, and if we do challenge for Europe with a few more additions, which is obviously the plan, then I think maybe we'll get another season out of Bielsa. But yeah, it's all a bit up in the air, really. He only does a year-to-year thing, but he's not got many more managerial positions in him. He's quite old, but what he says is that he's very settled where he lives, which is a lot of the reason as to why he's staying and investing all his time in his current project. But you guys will see. He's an entertaining guy. There's a lot of teams that don't like giving him credit. But there was a point in the Leicester game where I think we finished with basically our whole Championship 11 against a top four side who are doing really well. So I think a lot of the work he's done is very undervalued, which is a shame. As like I say, I don't think Arsenal and Leeds have particularly got certainly not these days, a huge rivalry. So it's quite easy for you guys, I guess, and maybe as football purists to compliment Bielsa. But you get Villa and Brighton, even to a certain extent, Chelsea, West Ham. There's lots of hate for Bielsa, and people are getting upset when he's being praised for games where we lose, and it's not necessarily just about the result. When you're a team that have just come up, you're building towards something. Which is what he's doing. So he doesn't always focus on results. This is the thing about Bielsa. He focuses on performances. So he'll say, okay, well, if you perform like that in the next 3 games, we're going to win 2 out of 3. You know, so that's what he'll take away from, you know, which is why I guess we're sort of used to that now. We lost to Everton 2-1, but we played really well in the whole game. So, yeah, I mean, post Bielsa, God knows. I don't even know who I'd like, to be honest.
We're worried about
have
what
a
happens.
We're enjoying the moment.
Let's say Bielsa says he wants to go back to South America and have a break. I'm pretty sure Lee Boyer played for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Back in the day, and he was a very good player. And let's say he says he wants to come and take the job and try and build our Leeds to become a more like stable top 10 team. Would you take him?
I don't think he'd fit into the model that we've got. I think, you know, I know we're talking about you guys, like the issues at the boardroom with you guys, where you've got to have that vision from the top coming down. You know, we've got Andrea Radrizana, and we've got our director of football, Victor Orta, and they've really got their heads screwed on with the style of football which we want to build on. So the style of football which is high press, high tempo, you know, heavy metal football, which we've got, and we enjoy it. So I think it would be really. I think if we were going to look at somebody probably coming in, it'd probably be with somebody with a similar style. I think they'll probably go abroad. I don't think they'd go into the UK market. They'll probably look for somebody from Spain, probably France. My gut one would be Pochettino, because I think, you know, he'll be sacked by the time Bielsa leaves. He'll be sacked from PSV. By the time Bielsa goes, he would fit well into it, and I think because he's got that, you know, mutual respect for Bielsa, I think he would like to come in and take on his legacy. So Poch would be the natural fit for me.
Zohom, let's say Bielsa is available and he's ready for a 2-year project. Let's say, would you get rid of Arteta right now, immediately, and get Bielsa?
Callum, why the hell are you nodding, man? Could you just chill out? Nah, I wouldn't. I mean, I appreciate Bielsa and Leeds. I'm one of the football purists, and I enjoy every single thing they do. But I know this seems really bad when you lose 10 games and also win 10 games, but I love that about them. I just don't want it to be us, because Leeds, their ambitions are different, and it's okay to settle for that. I wouldn't say settling. I think if you guys were fighting for relegation, fighting for promotion, survival, and you were in and amongst that, you know, 16th to 20th number of spots, you'd still be comfortable with Bielsa as your coach, even in terms of how you're playing. But considering where you guys are now, and when you add on to the fact how you guys are playing, how brave you are, the football you lads are playing, I mean, it's fantastic. No, I still wouldn't. It would be a legendary manager at a legendary club. But now we need young blood. We need new ideas. I mean, Bielsa himself gave Arteta compliments. He said, you know, Arteta does things he hasn't seen. So we need that kind of progressive, modern day football that we need to aspire to. And at the same time, I just want to add on to who the replacement could be. Honestly, I think Graham Potter. Even not looking abroad, I think if you guys got Graham Potter, you guys would be fantastic. I mean, I think he'd still play an amazing brand of football, but you'd have better players overall than Brighton do. And what he could do with this group of players would be, I think, fantastic. So just in terms of that succession story. But Arteta, man, listen, I genuinely believe this man has a lot of potential. First of all, in terms of all the intangibles that he talks about, things like work ethic, the non-negotiables, they're so important because we've lacked them for the last, I think, 10 years. We've lacked that kind of work ethic. We've lacked that kind of accountability. But at the same time, he brings about this class that I think he picked up from Arsene Wenger. I mean, if you remember, compare him to Frank Lampard, who would call out his players when they didn't play well. Arteta defends his players even when they let him down, when they so clearly let him down. So I think Arteta has so much potential, and I just can't wait to see him get the kind of players that our traditional top six. I can't wait to see what he does with those guys.
He's brought you a trophy as well, though, hasn't he? He brought the FA Cup. You know, he's brought you a major trophy. You know, and I know this season. I think this season is, lads. This season is a strange season with no fans being there. With pretty much, it's not the same, is it? For you guys, is Europe the priority now? Because obviously you're still in the Europa League. Are you going to put your eggs in the Europa League basket and hope that you do well in that rather than, and then is the Premier League going to sit back a little bit? Because that's the way that's the way I kind of see it going for you guys. Because obviously you want to be pushing for European football, and you should be. You're a bigger club. You know, you've got the bigger, arguably, fan base. Give me a compliment there. You know, I think you should be pushing for that European spot. But is European qualification through the Europa League for you guys this year?
Arron, I just want to add. I mean, sorry, Callum. I think Callum, you'd agree. Just focus on the Europa League. Don't qualify for Europa League again. Don't qualify for the Europa League Conference. You've heard of that new tournament now? That's what you exactly. I think we've well and truly hit the reset button, so to speak, and that's what we should do. That's my opinion.
Yeah, but what happens now when you're watching a game of football? When you're watching on Sunday, are you just thinking, I want to win the game because I like winning, or are you wanting to win because you want to get something like Europa League?
Callum, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one. I want to win to get some confidence, so we can actually.
Sorry, you're breaking up a bit. For me, I'd say there's still 15 games to go, Aaron. I don't agree with people who say let's just focus on the Europa League. There's still 15 games, 45 points to fight for. If you win, let's say, I think even if you win 8 of those games, you'll be in around 6th or 7th, just 8 from those 15 games. So for me, there's a time here we have Leeds, we have City, as Callum said earlier on, we have, I think, Leicester. But after that, there's a time we're playing West Brom at home, you're playing Newcastle, you're playing Sheffield United. Like, if you try and win those games like you're supposed to win them and get like 4 or 5 wins in the bounce, you still have a chance. Like, why would you just concentrate on the Europa League? Because if you concentrate on one cup, it just takes one penalty and you're out, and your season is over by February. So I don't agree with that thing of...
With the Europa, you're into the Champions League. If you win that, you're into the Champions League. You know, that's what I would see Arsenal as. You know, traditionally, you know, I was brought up with Arsenal, the Invincible years, all that sort of stuff. I would say that you should be in that top 4 bracket.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. And what I don't understand about Arsenal, and maybe you guys can give me some insight on this, is how does your recruitment work? Because you guys, you know, are obviously a big club, but you know, going into most seasons in the last 5 years, that you're not going to challenge for a title. Now, when you're Arsenal, that for me would not sit well. So, are Arsenal skint? Can they not invest in players that could challenge for a league title, or is the aim to say, look, we have a Champions League squad, we have a team good enough for that? Because at the moment, you'd say that squad is good enough to compete well in the Europa League, but nothing more.
Can I take this one? Big Lu, man. I think the recruitment at Arsenal has been shoddy, man. Ever since Arsene Wenger. I mean, I remember let me use Granit Xhaka as an example. We signed Granit Xhaka, and I remember when I watched his YouTube highlights, I could tell this guy was meant to be like some sort of left-footed Xabi Alonso. Spray the passes, doesn't do much. Just let him get the ball, receive the ball in midfield, and move it along. When Arsene Wenger signed him, and you know, you usually at the press conference and or the interview, he said that I see Granit Xhaka as a box-to-box midfielder, and I thought to myself, wow, this guy is immobile. Why would you even suggest that he could be that kind of player? A few months later, after a bit more exposure to the player, Arsene Wenger decided, nah, this guy is a deep-lying playmaker. So when a legendary manager like Arsene Wenger changes his view on such a player, and he's supposed to be the fulcrum of your midfield, it just speaks to cracks in our recruitment system. And the cracks have been proven. I mean, look at Granit Xhaka, look at Shkodran Mustafi, David Luiz, Denis Suarez. Remember Denis Suarez? Kim Kallstrom, who scored a penalty in a semi-final in our first FA Cup win in recent years. A lot of these players we sign either when they're, not convincing or injured. There's been so many mistakes in our recruitment for the last, I'd say, 9 to 10 years. And honestly, from Arsene Wenger's time all the way till, I'd say, even Arteta with Willian, for example, up until now, we're starting to see the changes. We're starting to see better players being signed, players that, even though they might not grab the headlines, they make an impact on the pitch and they do the job. But honestly, when you look at why the recruitment policy has been so bad, it's because there's been too many cooks. You know the phrase, too many cooks spoil the broth. When Arsene Wenger left, we had a 3-man team. We had Ivan Gazidis at the top as the CEO. We had technical director, what was his name? Sven Mislintat, the Borussia Dortmund man. And then Don Raul was brought in. And all these guys had different ways of working. Don Raul was a contacts kind of person, whereas Sven Mislintat wanted to work with stats. And then there was a bit of a power shift. So that was meant to be the team that's supposed to take us forward into the next level or take us back where we're meant to be. But then suddenly, Ivan Gazidis moves to AC Milan. And then there was that vacuum and there was that power grab between Raul Senier and Sven Mislintat. Sven Mislintat bounces, he leaves, and then Don Raul brings in £72 million Nicola Pepe. And apparently, according to reports, for example, from The Athletic and some other pieces online, we shouldn't have paid anything above 45 million. There's just been so many bad deals because so many incompetent people were brought in and not the right people were allowed to express themselves.
So are you saying you've tried then? You've tried to... Are you saying that the board have tried to make the signings that they think, or are they just doing it to get by?
That's a very good question. No, I don't think they've tried. I think what they did was they had a very hands-off approach to how the club was being run. They trusted people that they shouldn't have trusted, and then for far too long, we just kept going down. And the thing is, I think that was proven when they sacked Raul Senier, because there were some questionable characteristics of the nature of the deals that we were engaging in. For example, the £72 million Pepe deal, it was being investigated by a guy called Tim Lewis, who was brought in from America. So it feels like at that point, that's when Stan Kroenke and Josh Kroenke, they realized, okay, we need competent people, accountable people, and the people that initially we had in place were messing up everything. So what happened, they bring in Tim Lewis, who's a legal guy. He comes in. Hus Fahmy, who was our contracts guy, by the way, got sacked because we weren't getting the deals that we needed to get done. And even when we did get them done, we were overpaying. So we were buying players. Yeah, maybe should we have signed Lacazette for £50 million?
Well, the thing maybe is, as well, like we mentioned before that your players are letting you down mostly at the moment. But as a fan base at Leeds, for instance, we're pretty consistent mostly across the fan base in what we need next to get better, to improve. We know we need a left back. We know we need a 10. We know we need a backup striker. Who do you want? Who are Arsenal fans saying this is what we need to get better? In what positions?
Callum?
We need another midfielder to go next to Partey. Jesus Christ. I cannot stand watching Xhaka anymore in that midfield. I can't stand him making the mistakes he makes all the time, and then he plays 2 good games, and a lot of the Arsenal fan base go, he's the next Pirlo. He's the prime Pirlo. No, he isn't. He's rubbish. He's rubbish. And we need to get another centre back because Holding is very. He's been good this season, but every season before that, he's been inconsistent. And I know that inconsistency will come because that's in these games.
You guys must be linked with people. Who are you being linked with?
With one person? How long do you have? We're linked with over 500 players. 500 players. We were linked with Messi, Ronaldo, Seedorf, but we never got any of them. The thing I'd say to that is... back in 2016, I think we needed like 3 players. We got only Czech. The next season, Liverpool bought Mane, Chelsea bought N'Golo Kante, and we got Xhaka. You see that and you're like, what the hell is going on? The thing I'd say with our transfers, it feels like we don't sign players because they're good. It feels like, if let's say Arron is working with me, I'm like, Arron, who do you like? Okay, let's get him. It's like, whoever you like, we just get. We don't go according to ability. Like the goalkeeper coach, who's your friend?
This to me is ambition. It's for Leeds, for instance. We bought Rafinha. It was an easy sell. It was an easy sell because we at the moment for players to come to Leeds because we're a team on the up. We have Marcelo Bielsa. They play a style of football that would be appealing to them. It's down to the board at Arsenal as well to sell these players where they're going and what they're doing. And I think having Arteta actually is pretty key to that because he is a young, exciting manager who is only going to get better. He isn't going to live in the shadow of Pep forever. Everybody will say that he's, he cleaned Pep's boots or whatever it is, or made his tea or whatever they said he was doing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. That was it. Yeah,
I'm happy with the signings he's made because 5 years ago, the players we were signing, Mustafi, Xhaka, the likes of Lichtsteiner from Juventus, all didn't work. So as of now, I think we're doing well. And if we keep on talking about Arsenal's board, we're gonna be here for 5 hours. Believe me. So let me go. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add one more thing. I think the kind of players that we've signed can be good for maybe a run of games that is just too few, 10 odd games, 8 odd games, but they just don't seem to sustain it for a season, and that's real quality. I think we don't have enough good players who can sustain consistency for a long period of time. If you look at, for example, Hector Bellerin, from the outside looking in, a lot of people will think, yeah, this guy's fast, defensively he seems solid, and he gets a lot of assists for a right back. But what I see is a player that is genuinely lacking technical ability. The best thing about him was his pace, and it made people think that he was an amazing player, but all he really used to do was knock the ball forward, run after it. But now that he's lost that pace a little bit, the technical ability is glaring. In fact, I just look at his stats, for example. Yeah, let me tell you. Going forward, he's not better than Cedric. Cedric has better crosses into the box. He has more passes, way more passes into the box. He has more passes that are longer. Longer passes, 20-yard passes, 15-yard passes that can really change that phase in that moment. And Bellerin just doesn't do that enough. He's not aggressive, and we have too many players that are of similar ilk, like Granit Xhaka, like David Luiz, like Edin Ketia. There's too many players that lack genuine quality to play for a club like Arsenal, which has set high standards for itself for such a long time.
I'm hoping we change that very soon. Let's go to Lou and Arron. So your next 5 fixtures on the screen right now are possible 15 points. How many do you think you'll pick up, Lou?
15.
Yeah, those are possible. 15? Oh, that was your answer?
No, not at all. I mean, if you, I don't know, you guys won't know the fixtures we have in April, but we have basically Sheffield United, Man City, Liverpool, and Manchester United all in a row. So April is sort of like our month of death. So these results, I'd take 7 points out of that lot, to be honest. I think we'll win at least 2 of those games. Wolves are one of these teams we didn't quite get the measure of at home, but they've not exactly been incredible. They were looking a little bit dodgy, but like I say, we're looking up.
Before they beat us.
Yeah. Well, they had that gap, didn't they, where they didn't have a striker, and then they got Willian Jose, who's looked pretty good for them. So yeah, I'll take 7 points, Glenn.
Yeah, I think I'd take 8 because Arsenal, Wolves, Southampton, they're below us. So I'd take, you got to beat the teams below you to go up in the league.
Taking the piss.
But honestly, lads, listen, every game this season is difficult. Arsenal is going to be really difficult. I know that. Wolves is difficult, always difficult to go to Molineux. Southampton, depends which Southampton turn up. Villa, again, West Ham away, very difficult. They're flying high at the moment, West Ham. So realistically, I'd probably take 6 points out of those because we're a newly promoted team and we're trying to get to 40. But like what Lou said there, April for us is where we're just going to lose about 6 games on the bounce because we've got Liverpool, Man City, Manchester United, Chelsea. We play those 4 teams pretty much back to back. So yeah, they're all difficult. But yeah, I'd look.
They struggled to beat Barnsley last night, Aaron. So we might be all right.
So you're saying 6 and 7 points? Okay. Yeah. So let's ask Callum, how many points do you think Leeds will pick up from that?
Well, I think they'll about 6. I think 6 or 7. I think they'll get signed against us, and I'm not confident. I don't think I'm confident. I think they'll get signed against us, and I think they'll get signed against Southampton as well. You know what I mean? Even Villa as well. They could. Villa have been up and down this season. Do you know what I mean? They've had up and down results, and Leeds are one of the teams that if they could just batter someone, do you know what I mean? So I think they get 7 points.
So.
Yeah, I think I'd stick to 7. Let me just try and predict where the losses would be. Obviously, Arsenal, they'd lose at Arsenal at the Emirates. But no, I think they'll definitely get wins against Wolves, Southampton, and I think they'd get a draw somewhere between Aston Villa and West Ham. I'm hoping, by the way, that they get a loss at Arsenal. So. Thing is, you're right. Lou's right. Wolves aren't who they were last season, and they got a result against us, but that was painful. Southampton, they're volatile. They can be very good one day, they can be very bad another. The more consistent performers, in my opinion, are Aston Villa, West Ham. So I think that's where they'll get 1 draw, and I think they're going to beat Wolves and Southampton. And I wouldn't be surprised if they get a result against us as well. So that could easily be somewhere between 8 and 9. So yeah.
The funny thing is that as Lou said, they drew City early on in the season, very early, I think game week 2 or 3, and they also drew the Arsenal like after the second international break or something. Just 2 draws, but I can easily see all those 5 games being draws. We've drawn a lot of games. Wolves draw a lot of games since last season. I think Wolves and Arsenal have the most draws in the league. Southampton, you probably might beat them. Villa, West Ham, I actually feel like they're all going to be draws. So not 5 points because you're going to get 3 wins and 2 draws, but 5 points because you're going to get 5 draws. Would you be happy with 5 draws, Lou?
I don't see draws. I don't see draws. I mean, if you consider, just look at the league table. They either lose games or win them. It's ridiculous. So I only see 1 possible draw, to be fair.
Okay, last 2 questions. I'll start with you, Arron. Not the best memory of Arsenal and Leeds, even though we've played only twice in the last 15 years. Mine, the worst was this one. Viduka scoring against Seaman. So any other that you remember, Arron?
We don't talk about much. Harry Kewell scored against your Beauty 3-2 a couple of years ago.
Highbury, right?
Sorry?
It was at Highbury?
Yeah, it was a great goal. But yeah, we've had some good games with Arsenal over the years. I think, I enjoyed the FA Cup game last year down at the Emirates, where I think we played really, really well, and we were unfortunate not to take anything from that. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's nice to have this fixture back, boys. It's nice to have this back. And listen, we are a big club, and we've been down in the dungeons for 16 odd years, and this is what it's about for us. It's getting back up there with you guys, the big boys, playing some decent football, and looking forward to it. But do you know what? I've enjoyed every minute of this, and hopefully we'll do as we keep going. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Look, any Arsenal Leeds game?
I'm the same as Arron. I was obviously 15. I was 15, 16 years old when that happened, and it was obviously a brilliant occasion for us because I think we were staying up.
Yeah, we survived, didn't we, Lou?
Did we stop you from winning the title, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we gave it to Manchester United with that result. Yeah,
which was obviously weird, but yeah, I'm with Arron. I think I actually went to the Emirates for the FA Cup game last season, and it for me with how we always bang on about how we played in the first half, but that's all we sort of had to go on at that time. that for me is when we felt back, where it sort of felt like we belonged. And although Arsenal aren't so much the powerhouse as they were when we were playing with Viduka and Kuhl, and when me and Arron were both teens and whatever, we're playing on Sunday against the big name Arsenal. So that's what it means to Leeds fans. We're playing against Arsenal, who are a big club, who are a big team, who aren't performing as they would like to be, or even how other clubs would expect them to be. And that's the thing. I think you guys are nowhere near bragging rights with your North London rivals at the moment, which must be fucking painful. So,
you are doing so well. You went 1 hour without mentioning them, and you mentioned them. You are doing so well.
Yeah, but I like with rivalries, I understand. But you guys should be at least on a level playing field with those guys. I'm not saying they're a good team because I don't think they are.
No, we shouldn't. We should be above them. That's where we should be.
They're relying on one player. You're at least relying on 11.
So the home, I kind of started supporting Arsenal in 2003. I think you're the same. So any that you remember from the highlights? There was this from Overmars.
No, I'm not the same. I started supporting Arsenal after our loss in the Champions League final. I know that's an odd time to pick a team to start supporting. So I actually didn't know much.
Barcelona, man.
I could have been Barcelona, yeah, but then La Liga's dead. Anyway, no, I don't have any good or bad memories. I think all I know is based off history, based off what I learned afterwards of my club, and man, I don't think I can speak to this. I'd be lying if I tried to.
Callum, any chance?
Huh?
I mean, most of these clashes were in the 90s. So do you remember any?
I remember when Henri returned in the FA Cup. That's the only one I remember. When he came back.
I always
was
forget.
That against Leeds?
I always forget.
It was.
I always forget
then
about
I was
that.
there.
Yeah,
I was there.
He scored with his second or third touch as well.
Yeah.
He scored.
Good goal.
Yeah, the king returned.
Alex Song, the legend. So, Lou, who do you think will be your most important player in this game?
Rafinha.
Arron?
Yeah, I'd probably agree. Rafinha needs to keep him very, very quiet along with Calvin Phillips. So, but at the moment, with the form that this guy's in, honestly, lads, you need to watch this guy because in 2 years, he's going to be going for 70 million plus.
Yeah, man. Nah. Remember, guys,
He ended Cale's career.
In November, I told you guys he's got a decent frame, and when you couple that with genuine technical ability, talent, I think it takes you far. And honestly, I'm not surprised with the form that he's in, but that skill on Gary Cahill. Yeah, I think it's time for Gary Cahill to go because you cannot save face after that. I mean, he is going to be a YouTube highlight for time.
Yeah. So who do you think is going to be our most important player in this one?
I think our most important player is going to be, I know this is weird, but I think it's going to be Granit Xhaka. Without Partey, he is the player that progresses the ball the best out of our midfielders. I wouldn't be surprised to see Odegaard, though, to try and help him out in midfield. But I think it's going to be Granit Xhaka. Saka, I'd expect him. I would say Saka, but I have a sneaky feeling he's going to be played at left back, especially considering Cedric's.
I do too. Yeah.
Being out of position, and I think Bukayo Saka is going to be a very sorry.
So Cedric's injured.
So no. I think Cedric, considering he's being played out of position in our recent performances, he's probably going to choose to play Bukayo Saka at left back and maybe even Cedric at right back, and then you'll have a knock-on effect of Martin Odegaard possibly starting somewhere up top, not up top, but somewhere in more advanced position. So I think what's going to be very interesting is if Saka does play at left back, that battle between Rafinha and Saka is going to be so interesting because Saka is a good defender as well.
Yeah, Carla, how about you?
I think it'll be Saka. I think he'll put Cedric left back again, Ronnie, and put Bellerin right back. So I think Saka will be our most important. I don't think Xhaka will. I think without Partey in there, he's gonna be overrun, isn't he? Yeah, I mean it's gonna be him and probably Ceballos. So it has to be Saka to save us or give us some
Okay,
salvation.
Lou.
Anyway.
Lou, who are you watching?
Me? I've already said Big Rafinha.
Hello.
Is it?
Sorry. I think he's lost connection, but my screen is all hanging. It's all weird and
Sorry, you
glitchy.
disappeared. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. There he is.
So, Lou, my question was, who are you watching out for at Arsenal?
Sorry, Arsenal. Yeah, like I said earlier in the stream, my biggest worry is Saka. I think he provided the most danger for you before he went off injured. And I guess if you did start Odegaard, I'd probably be wary of him. I'm quite wary of what he has to offer in an attacking sense. But yeah, I think it's a very, very even game on paper. But Saka is, one of your best players on the pitch by a mile at the moment. So yeah.
What is your prediction?
So last night I said a comfortable 2-0 win for Leeds, which I'm going to stick with.
Arron, who are you watching out for at
Wow,
Arsenal and your
comfortable.
prediction?
Yeah, I'm going to say again. Agree with Lou. I'm quite really confident with this one. I said 2-0 to Leeds as well, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Leeds.
Callum? Of course, it is to Leeds.
I think it'll be a draw, 1-1. I don't see from the last two results. I don't see us, performing to the level that we were in the first half against Wolves. Or the game before that. I don't see. I feel it's gonna mentally, have us. So I honestly think it'll be a draw, 1-1.
Zuhu?
I'm gonna go with a 2-1 prediction. I think we're gonna sneak and grind this game out. I think Leeds are gonna play much better than we are, considering some of our best players aren't available. So, yeah, I think I'm gonna go with a 2-1. I'm always hopeful.
Yeah, we need a lot of energy. I can actually see a bunch of goals. You guys have scored 38 and conceded 38. Yes, we don't score many, don't concede many, but I can see something like a 4-3 over here. So I'm gonna go for 4-3. Lou, one player that will definitely score?
Bamford.
Arron?
Rafinha.
Zuhu?
In response to Alioski's comment on the Leeds podcast, Nicola Pepe.
Oh,
Callum?
Yeah.
I'll say Pepe as well. I'll take
Let's go, mate.
Awesome, and I'm gonna go for Bameng, and I want him to start. I don't agree with having him on the bench by there. Lou, thank you very much for coming on with Arron. Where can they follow you, Lou?
no problem.
Cheers.
Where can they follow you?
Oh, LS11. For anyone interested, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. So we've got a growing channel at the minute, putting plenty of content out there. Thursday night shows with myself and Arron and a couple of other boys called George and Alfie. We can get feisty if we know people like Glenn are watching before a game. So yes, plenty of banter. Get involved.
I really don't have like any rivalry with Leeds, but after watching that podcast yesterday, I really want to win because of Alfie. Arron,
I'm glad we've rolled you up, mate. You've got to want to win, mate.
So LS11. We've got a podcast out every Wednesday. We've got our show, Any News LS11 on Thursday. We've got loads of content out. Arron S. Marshall on Twitter, Big Lu LS11 LUFC on Twitter and things. So yeah, cheers.
Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Arron. See you guys next time. Zuhu, where can they follow you?
You can follow me on the usual, guys. Zuhum Omar, just the way you see it on the display, both on IG and on Twitter, and obviously on the podcast at the Nearly Footballers podcast, where guys who nearly were footballers discuss football themselves.
I think you should get Mustafi on that podcast. Callum?
Halves and G show. Do you know what I mean, on YouTube? We're trying to put our content as much as possible. Just anything
Thank you guys again. See you
Like,
guys next
subscribe,
Friday. I
stuff.
appreciate all the effort, man. Zoom, I know you're tired. I'll talk to you next time. Mr. Positive, catch up next time. So it's Arsenal against Leeds. Thank you everyone for watching. As I've said, 4-3 prediction. I really hope we win this game. Thank you everyone in the chat. I really appreciate it. Let's hope we get a win this time around. Thank you for watching. Keep staying safe, and I'll catch up with you guys later.